conversations. A directive by the central government has declared black fungus as a notifiable disease, which means that by law now, hospitals and states have to report all the cases that they're seeing. This is being done so that guidelines can be made to fight this disease, which has a mortality of over 50%. Today, we speak to Dr. Sanjay Dhawan, Senior Director and Head of Department Ophthalmology, Max Panchhill Park, New Delhi, and Dr. Joseph, Chief of Interventional Pulmonology, Amrita Hospitals, Kochi, about the causes, the management, and the outlook of this deadly disease. Welcome, doctors. Dr. Joseph, are you seeing younger patients also with black fungus, or is it only a certain age group, or this is not a criteria?
Okay, I would like to add a couple of points to what Dr. Dhawan had mentioned. Mucormycosis, it's an extremely rare entity. Apart from diabetes and people who are on steroids, there are certain other category of patients who are more prone to develop this particular disorder. Any patient, let it be of any age group, who are immunosuppressed or immunocompromised, so that means the immunity is towards the lower side. So they can ideally suffer from this particular disorder. So the examples are the people who are suffering from various malignancies or cancers. Then people who have undergone any organ transplantation, like let it be liver, kidney, heart, lung, or any other solid organ transplantation, or people who have undergone bone marrow or stem cell transplantation, as well as again, coming back to the diabetic population, also people generally with uncontrolled diabetes mellitus, because studies have proven that India has got a huge burden of diabetes patients, and those patients without proper glycemic control, or if they're steroid, so the diabetic patients who are not been managed properly with significantly elevated blood sugar levels. So these are the patients who are more prone to develop a mucormycosis. It's not only diabetes or not only COVID. There are certain other group of people also. Irrespective of the age, it can affect anyone with suppressed immunity.
Could you tell us a little bit about the symptoms? What are the symptoms when it starts early on, and then how do they progress?
Mucormycosis can literally affect any part of the body. So there are 5 different entities if you subclassify on the basis of symptoms. So first and foremost, it predominantly affects the sinuses and your brain. So it is called as rhinocerebral, or the ones which affects your sinus or the brain. That is the first entity. So if it affects the brain or sinuses, so the symptoms would be nasal blockage, the blackish kind of spots over the nose, then sneezing, severe headache associated with vomiting, and the people will be disoriented. These are the primary symptoms when it starts to affect either sinus or your brain. Now coming to the next entity, that is called as a pulmonary mucormycosis, or the one which affects the lungs. So once it starts to affect the lung, the patient often suffers from cough, breathing issues, as well as high-grade fever. The next entity is the gastrointestinal mucormycosis, or the ones which affect the GI system. So the gastrointestinal mucormycosis are the ones which affects the stomach and related organs. It's an extremely rare entity. Generally, it is seen in pediatric age group among children who have been on steroids or any other antibiotics for a long time, are the ones who develop a gastrointestinal form of mucormycosis. The next entity is the cutaneous mucormycosis, or the ones which affect your skin. In case of cutaneous mucormycosis, again, this is also an extremely rare entity. How it happens, it generally, if the person is having any cuts or bruises or any form of skin ulcers, the fungus can get inoculated through that particular spot, and it tends to affect the skin. It can be localized, or it can be generalized as well. And the last entity is the one which is called as the disseminated mucormycosis. Disseminated means it starts with one organ and gradually it spreads to other organs as well. And this is the severe entity, which the fungal infection gets transmitted to one organ to the next one via blood. As of now, we have adequate supply, and like how Dr. Dhawan had mentioned, the primary treatment of choice is surgical approach because, in spite of giving the adequate dosage of antifungals, most of the time the drugs may not reach the necrotic tissue. So the primary treatment of choice is surgical debridement or surgical resection of the affected site, which will be followed subsequently by the antifungal therapy. But the only issue would be the cost, because in a resource limited setting like India, I'm not sure regarding how many people will be able to afford the antifungals because it's extremely expensive, and it's a prolonged line of therapy. Most of the people will require injections for up to 1 month, and which will be followed by the oral antifungals for another 2 months. So that the treatment duration would be close to around 3 to 4 months. And again, cost is a limiting factor. Even prior to COVID itself, India contributed almost around 70% of the global cases of mucormycosis because maybe because of the tropical climate, as Dr. Dhawan mentioned about the increased moisture content in our land. Some factor is contributing for the mold to grow in most of our environment. And ever since COVID has set in, yes, it has the number of cases reported has gone up. But I again and again I feel that the rationale of using steroids in India is different from the Western countries because unfortunately most of the centers across India are not following the guidelines, even for let it be mild, moderate, or severe. Each and every patient has been on steroids, so that has to be stopped. Only patients who require oxygen support or with significant pneumonia or the severe category who are getting admitted in the ICUs required to be managed with steroids. So let the other group of patients who are sitting at home should strictly avoid using steroids because I've been getting a lot of prescriptions as well as inquiries from so many patients that they'll be calling up and they'll be sending the prescriptions, and almost literally 90 to 100% of the people are on steroids. So that has to be stopped. So the law has to be framed in such a way that the people should be treated by the doctors, not by the pharmacist or the person who is supplying the medicine from the pharmacy. Because people are going to the pharmacy, the pharmacist is prescribing. He is the person who is deciding what sort of treatment has to be given to the COVID patient. So that has to be stopped. So one of the reasons why the number of cases are less in the West is that in most of the countries they follow guidelines. The patients cannot be managed by a pharmacist or any other alternative medical practitioners in other countries. But in India, unfortunately, the situation is different. So that scenario has to be changed. These are like we should take some lessons from the present pandemic. At least in the future, we should be much more prepared.
What is the outlook? What do you see? When will it sort of start to decline? What can we do in the meantime? What kind of support should hospitals be given? Let's start with you, Dr. Joseph, and then we'll.
Okay, I would focus more on preventive strategies because as of now in India, there is a major outbreak is not set in. So let's primarily focus on preventive strategies to control the further spread of this disease. So first and foremost, the person should not panic about the disease because a lot of information has been passed on social media regarding the black fungus. It's a deadly fungus which might kill the person, and it is spreading rampantly across India. So people should rely on trustworthy information. Try not to spread any fake messages regarding so and so infection. That is number one. So person should not panic. Again, even though it's a deadly fungus, it's an extremely rarely reported. Even in India also, we have cases only maybe I would say less than 1,000. So we don't have a pandemic of mucormycosis as of now. Number two would be the people who are suffering from diabetes mellitus, who are on insulin. They should monitor their sugar levels properly, and if required, consult a nearby doctor and take adequate help. Those people are on insulin. The dose has to be monitored and given accordingly. Number three would be if the person is suffering from COVID or post-COVID, those who are on steroids, the sugar level has to be monitored adequately, and if required, the insulin has to be given. And number 4 would be kindly avoid giving steroids to people who are suffering from mild variety of COVID disease, and that is the people who are sitting at home or the people who does not require any oxygen support. Steroid has to be mandatorily avoided. The number 5 would be that most of us know that this particular fungus is commonly seen in various parts of the environment, especially it is seen in on compost, leaves, moist environment, as well as at construction sites. So people who are more prone for this disease, we had already discussed regarding the risk factors for developing this particular fungal infection. So that people who belong to that risk category should wear proper mask, and if they're going to any construction sites or if they're dealing with right now we have seen in the media that people are taking bath in cow dung, they're drinking the cow's urine and all those things. So such kind of practices has to be avoided, because it is proven that mucormycosis fungus can be present in cow dung as well. So such kind of practices has to be stopped. And if there is any skin infection or any ulcers or cuts or bruises on the skin, that has to be properly covered, because the fungus also can track through that. And the final point would be that this is a lesson we have to take it seriously, because people who are suffering from COVID or any other related issues should consult a doctor, not preferably an allopathic doctor, not any other alternative medical practitioner, or people should not rely on pharmacies to get treatment for COVID, because preferably we all should follow what is mentioned in the guidelines. Only then it can be taken care of. Kindly avoid using steroids in mild variety of disease. That is the take-home point.
So to sum up, cases are rising. We need to be cautious. People don't need to panic. Please consult a doctor. Understand what your physician is saying. Only then use steroids and take care of hygiene. These are the key factors by which we can at least prevent mucormycosis or black fungus, and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you so much, doctors. Thank you so much for your time. This was very informative.